Hello, I'm live. It's happy Friday to anyone out there that's on Facebook or LinkedIn watching this. Haven't been live for a little while, so I thought I'd jump on and just say hi. Beautiful day here in Melbourne, so nice and sunny out there. Managed to just get out for a little bit before coming back in here to join you for a live. So I hope all is well on your end. Things are going well here. I don't know if it's just me or the people that I talk to, seeming like the worst of COVID's behind us. People certainly seeming a whole lot more positive, and seems like things are going along quite well. Just thought I'd jump on here and talk a little bit about what's going on with this HomeBuilder program. I put up a post yesterday. It's a bit topical at the moment. Thought I'd give LinkedIn events a go, so posted up an event. So if anyone's there watching, let me know. Give us a thumbs up or drop a comment. I can now actually see the comments on the screen without having to look at my phone. So I hope all is well on your end, and happy Friday. So I might get into it. HomeBuilder program. So it was all over the TV, all over LinkedIn, all over the news yesterday. Very political. I was just looking at Twitter, and heaps of people going on and on about where else the money could have been spent, and possibly could have been spent elsewhere too. What I wanted to do though is just spend a little bit of time looking at the program itself. You might have already looked at it anyway, but have a look at the program. Who's it for? Who's not going to get it? And where are some of the kind of the anomalies, I guess, where some people might actually qualify for some of the benefits there. Excuse me whilst I quit the notice instant messaging program. So I'll share my screen here in a second. What I'm about to bring up is just the paper that's on the government website that's got the details. We'll run through that, and we can have a chat about it. So let me just bring that up. Here we go. So hopefully that's coming up. Should pop up on your end. So what I've got here is just a paper that's on the government website that talks about the HomeBuilder program, $25,000 grants for people to build new homes or substantially renovate an existing home. So there's a few requirements in here for people to qualify for this, which are kind of here under these eligibility requirements part. Obviously, well, not obviously, but it's only open to natural persons. So you have to be a person, not a company, not a trust, to qualify, over the age of 18, Australian citizen, and meet some of these requirements. And this is where this actually gets quite niche, and probably jumping to the conclusion, probably more relevant to first home buyers than anything. So for individuals earning up to $125,000 a year based on your 18-19 tax return, so that will probably be well and truly done by now, or later. And for a couple, up to $200,000 for the couple, again, based on the 2018-19 year or later. So then what are you doing with the money? So what are you buying? What are you renovating? So it's to buy a new home or a principal place of residence where the value does not exceed $750,000. So if we stop there for a second, if you're in Melbourne or Sydney, $750,000 is probably likely going to get you something in one of the new estates, house and land package, those kind of things. Some townhouses in some places you might be able to buy buy off the plan a new townhouse. So that's kind of the housing. If you're in regional areas, it's probably going to go a whole lot further. There's $750,000 there. So it's a whole lot more beneficial for people that aren't actually living in or around the Melbourne or Sydney CBDs. Your money's obviously going to go a whole lot further there. But that's kind of looking at, that $750,000 limit's kind of looking at, to me at least anyway, more likely to be first home buyers. Then we move on to the next point here. So substantially renovate your existing home as a principal place of residence where the renovation contract is between $150,000 and $750,000. So we're talking pretty serious renovations here. This isn't updating a kitchen and a bathroom and another bathroom. Like this is to be spending between $150,000 and $750,000. We're talking some pretty serious renovations, adding extra rooms, adding a second story. The classic, certainly around where I live, the classic keeping the front 2 rooms on an old house, knocking down the back and building out again. So it's pretty serious renovations. A lot of stuff on Twitter and all over the place saying, who's earning these kind of incomes and has $150,000 or more laying around to do a renovation. I really don't think that's the point. Most people, certainly clients that I deal with that are doing renovations of this kind of level, they're borrowing the money. So earning a particular income, but they don't have this sitting around in cash and they're using cash to go and do the renovations. They're borrowing money to go and do that. Certainly with interest rates as cheap as they are at the moment, it does make a lot of sense for people. So spending some serious money on a fairly major renovation where the value of the existing property does not exceed $1.5 million. I just want to stop on this bit about renovations for a second. So typically, people that are spending this kind of money, $150,000 to $750,000 doing a renovation, they're going to be renovating an older house. You're not buying a new house in a new suburb and then going and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the renovation. So it's typically an older house. Where are the older houses? Often closer to cities, whether it's Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane, wherever you might live. So it's an older house, often closer to the city, and you can get some places get some old places for under $1.5 million in and around some of these cities. But older place closer to the city, which I guess in turn costs more in the first place. So we're talking higher income earners often buying these types of houses in the first place. So if you're closer to the city, buying these older houses, it typically lends itself to either a higher income earning individual or a higher income earning couple, which in turn, it doesn't take much to actually fall foul of these income limits, and then you're not really qualifying for buying in the first place. The other, for getting the benefit in the first place. The other area there is that this also qualifies for knockdown and rebuild. So if you own an existing house, you can bulldoze it, and if you're spending between $150,000 and $750,000 on the rebuild, you'll also qualify for the $25,000. But again, anyone that's knocking down and rebuilding a house, typically that's an older house, which is going to be closer to a CBD or some type of town centre, which again, it brings you back to this. It's an older house, closer to CBD or town centre, often more expensive in the first place, lends itself to a higher income individual or couple buying it. And again, you fall foul of these. So, I can't really see a whole lot of people, certainly clients that I work with, that often do spend this kind of money doing renovations. They're actually going to fall foul of these income limits and not get it in the first place. Now, it's available for contracts entered into between the 4th of June and the 31st of December. So it's a pretty tight time frame, 6 months or so. So this is really people that will have been considering doing this in the first place. It's not all of a sudden because you're going to get an extra $25,000. I can't see a whole lot of people just madly rushing out to do it. If you're spending this kind of money on a renovation, an extra $25,000 from the government, look, it's great, but it's certainly not going to be the tipping point. Construction must commence within 3 months after the contract date is the last point there. There's some bits on timing here and how it all works, but I want to stay in this section here for now. So, look, there will be some anomalies in here. You'll get some in terms of this income figures. So if we look at the couple, for example, of $200,000, there will be some anomalies in here. Looking at the 18-19 tax here, so that's well and truly done. Most people have lodged their tax returns by now, and I guess it is what it is. You can't really get too creative with what's happened if your 2019 tax return's already been lodged. But it says here or later. So that leads me to believe that, potentially you could use your 2020 tax return. If you're signing the contracts after the 1st of July 2020, you could use your 2020 tax returns. We're going through COVID. A whole lot of people have lost jobs of, working 3 days a week or 4 days a week instead of 5. So incomes, for a lot of people will be lower. But really, are there going to be people that are on lower incomes now because of what's going on? Are they really going to be that adventurous to then sign up to a building contract for hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 6 months? It's pretty tight. There'll be some, as I said, it's anomalies, but it's pretty tight. The other one where some people will kind of slip through the cracks and actually qualify is where there's been a lower income for a particular reason. Maybe one member of the couple hasn't worked, so taken a career break. That happens a lot with corporate types. Maternity leave, change of career and studying or something like that. So there's a range of circumstances where through, if not all, a majority of the 2019 tax year, one member of a couple may very well have not worked and had a very low income. So one member of the couple's earning, may potentially just under $200,000, or earning a pretty decent income. The other member of the couple hasn't earned anything for 2019 for whatever reason, and all of a sudden is now back at work. Those circumstances have changed. That second member of the couple's back at work, but they just happen to qualify for the 2019 year. The other one is small business owners. So small business owners often get creative with where they're distributing the income that they're earning. They won't necessarily collect that all themselves. They'll move it around to different structures. And depending on the finer detail of how they're actually looking at the tax returns, you might find that the people through 2019, or if they get creative with their 2020 tax returns, might actually get it too. So there is some kind of loopholes, I guess, as some people might get through to qualify. So I guess to finish off, who's really going to benefit from this, and who's really going to use it? Even in the government's modelling, there's not a whole lot of people that are going to qualify. It's quite small numbers in the scheme of the Australian population that will qualify. So really, it's probably people that were planning on doing something in the first place. So whether they're first home buyers, that this extra $25,000 together with stamp duty concessions, together with first home buyer grants that are available in different states, that the combination of the three is the kind of final kicker for them to actually sign on and buy a house. As I said earlier, chances are they're probably buying house and land packages, often on suburban fringes. The thing to be careful of there, though, that there's a lot of these volume builders have been offering quite significant discounts on house and land packages, or they're bundling up, upgrades. Instead of getting option 1 tiles, you can get option 2 tiles and option 2 flooring, these kind of things, which together adds up to a fair bit of money. So we might actually see some lessening of that discounting as this flows through. So those that were already considering doing something, typically probably first home buyers that are buying that house and land package kind of house, or those doing the renovations. But in the renovations, it's probably those that have been planning them for a while. Renovations don't happen overnight. Between getting drawings done and potentially council approvals and permits and all the rest of it, it's a lengthy process. That's not happening overnight. So it might just be fortunate timing for a few people that had things starting to line up to do the renovations anyway, and someone wasn't working, their income's lower for whatever reason, and they start to qualify. So it's very niche. I guess if you're considering doing this, I'd encourage you to pull up this paper yourself and explore the detail here and the timing around it. It's not going to be around forever. It's only for a small handful of people. If you can qualify for it, you may as well take up the benefits there. So that's the HomeBuilder program in a bit of detail. I'll stop sharing the screen now and just check some comments on it. See, there's a few people have been thumbs up and putting some comments through there. So Andrew, if you're still watching, thank you for tuning in and dropping your comment in there. I'm not sure which bit you were referring to regarding the good point, and you're thinking the same thing, but thank you anyway for tuning in. There's a comment here to say the only beneficiaries here are the banks, who will win on the interest from people getting loans and mortgages to update their homes. Yes, look, I think that's exactly it. That's all part of the idea behind the stimulus. As I said earlier, that I don't see too many people, certainly with that'll qualify for those income brackets, people that qualify for those income brackets also then having hundreds of thousands of dollars stashed aside for doing renovations or anything like that. So more often than not, people are going to be borrowing money, which is goes back into the stimulus of the economy. It's good for the banks, good for the builders. It's good for a lot of people. So that's part of one of the ways of stimulating the economy to come out of all of this that we're going through. And the final comment here: thanks for exploring the HomeBuilder program and sharing your insights. So, Devang, that was you putting that one up there. So thank you for watching. Those that have, if you've got any questions or anything with it, or any further comments, if you're catching this on the replay, leave them there, and I'll come back to you separately. But I hope you are all having a great Friday. Hope you get a chance, if you're in Melbourne, to enjoy some of this sunshine. Long weekend coming up. Spend that with friends and family now that we're allowed out a little bit. So enjoy your day. That's all from me, and we'll talk soon.